Yeah.
Thanks, Hank.
Yeah. Hi, David. Do you mind signing in up front before you get comfy?
Okay.
Thanks.
How are you, David?
Okay. Good. How are you doing?
Thanks for signing in,
Good.
guys.
Been a good summer so far. So I got no complaints.
Good. Seems like you stay busy.
Me?
Yeah.
Not at all, no. So much free
He
time.
came over here for fun.
Yeah.
I actually do wish I'd have brought my running shoes. I normally run closer to home, and I could have run and got this
Yeah.
scenery in today. Totally
Next time.
not proactive.
Yeah.
For that.
You had your
In
mind
the
on-
rain.
You had your mind on other things.
I did.
That's all it does is rain.
All right, it is 3:30, so I'm going to start this select board meeting of July 23rd, as we usually do, with our call to order and the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right. Questions on the minutes, comments, changes, anything on there?
I have not. I'll make a motion to approve.
Wait
the,
1 second. Hold on. There is one correction to the minutes on the bridge repair ETF. It was listed as 0035 and it should be 0034. So that will be amended in the minutes.
Under the trust fund.
Yeah, I'm sorry, yes, under the
Got it.
expendable trust funds funding. And I had no
Good
other
catch.
comments, so.
Okay. Well, I'll go ahead and make a motion then that we approve the minutes as amended from the July 9th meeting.
I will second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. There you go. I'm just going to initial here as well, just in case they want that in the here.
On
On the
the.
change here.
Okay. Sounds good. Safe.
And then just initial the change there. Thank you. Thank you, Betsy. All right. All right, so today we moved up a short-term rental issue that we've been having discussions about, and this is for 7 Boston Drive, and the owner is Ed Harvey, who is here with us today. So just a little history on the issue. You have a short-term rental in town that was put on hold, then back in June you started renting it again, so we were in contact, but regardless.
Really relevant.
Just little history for us here. So we noticed that your advertisement was advertising for a 3-bedroom rental that sleeps 6, and I'm going to state things and then I'll let you know and we can chat. So 3-bedroom sleeping 6, and the septic and tax card that you have on file is for a 2-bedroom that can sleep up to 6, because there's 2 people per bedroom plus an additional 2 people. So the maximum number of people that the dwelling unit can be advertised for in any published listing or other form of marketing shall be 2 people for each bedroom listed on the town issued building permit plus 2 additional people. So with that knowledge of the way the short-term rental was being advertised, we contacted Mr. Harvey about a possible violation. And while the number of sleeping 6 is adequate for the short-term rental, the number of bedrooms is not according to what the tax card and the bedroom listing are for, and the septic for the property. So that's where we had a few different discussions in our select board meeting, and Mr. Harvey, we asked you to join us at the meeting, or actually you asked to be joined at the meeting today. So could we hear your comments?
Yeah, my first comment is, if you'll remember the window incident last year, The letter from my attorney requested a response from the town involving pre-existing use, grandfathered use. My rental predates the 2020 ordinance. I followed up this year when I got dragged back in here over bedrooms, and I once again asked about the pre-existing use. I have not received any response from the town on this. I have 14 days and I'm subject to fines. The town has chosen to simply ignore these requests twice over a year.
Okay, on that issue, I believe that with an ordinance, there is not a grandfathered clause that a property falls under. So when an ordinance is put into place, you are not subject to the 30 rental limit that we put into place, but you
Right.
are subject to the ordinance of...
I'm subject to the
Sorry,
loss of the property right?
Excuse me, let me finish talking, and then I'll ask if you can reply, okay? Let's be polite with each other, okay? You are required to live by the ordinance. It is not limiting to you to what you can use your property for. It's still a short-term rental, just like it was before, but you are subject to the rules of the ordinance. Go ahead.
Why is my rental subject to a limitation of how many people can be in it when Thanksgiving, Christmas, and any other residential use is free to do what they do?
Bob?
Yeah, I'm here to talk about the property's non-compliance with our short-term rental ordinance. And so I'm not here to exchange in a question and answer session with anybody in the room. And I'm not here to get a look at historical issues that get me away from the task at hand. When we ended up with adopting a short-term rental ordinance, our estimate was that about half of the registrations that took place were in some way, shape, or form not fully compliant, and we worked with owners and we tweaked things, and this is, the way that I hear from the town office managers, and so we've worked with a lot of people. We currently have something like 134, 135 different short-term rentals registered in our town. And the issue here is that the way it is written, how it defines that you have 2 people for each bedroom listed on the town-issued building permit, it puts what you're advertising out of compliance. And so for me, that's really straightforward and black and white, and that's what I'm first and foremost wanting to make sure that we can clean up and align so that we will have 135 short-term rental properties registered in this town and not one that is not compliant. We don't know of any other short-term rental properties right now that are out of compliance except for yours. And so we're cleaning them up step by step, but that's where we are today with your property.
Just to be clear,
Go ahead.
in terms of interpretations and this disagreement we're having over bedrooms, I have a simple question. Does my loft have a window?
That doesn't have any here nor there to what we are
2
talking
months
about right now.
spent dealing with
Mr.
the board and
Harvey?
its interpretations of its procedures. The way that you administer STRs is guilty until proven innocent. I spent 2 months clearing that up.
Okay.
2 months.
You know
And now
what?
I'm back again, so let's talk bedrooms.
Go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to go at this just a little differently. I'm thinking about your listing. You got 3 bedrooms, sleep 6, okay? So I'm thinking somebody in Boston, maybe Hershey, Pennsylvania, who the hell knows, where 3 couples. And they're looking at this and they say, wow, I go up to Jackson, there's 3 bedrooms up there, we can all split that cost, and we're gonna have a wonderful time. It's a great place to be. And they get there, hold on, and there's only 2 bedrooms, right?
Yes,
Oh.
as the ad describes right below. I forwarded that. You must have seen that. forward of that,
Right.
correct? So they go under 3 bedrooms. They see 1 principal, 2nd bedroom with a queen, and a loft with 2 twins. It's right underneath. Technically, if you're asking me if they can comfortably be there, if I retired and moved there now, it would be my principal bedroom. It's a separate floor with its own shower. Do you want to do the Boston conversation or
okay.
not?
It's not about that.
It's about septic.
You know,
It's
it's
about
right.
noise.
Can
It's
you
about
please,
sex.
I'm gonna ask you something. Everyone in this room needs to be adherent and when I ask you to respond to something, please do not interrupt. And we will be the same, okay? Scott, excuse me 1 second.
I guess I just wonder, does this have anything to do with short-term rentals? If it's approved for 2 bedrooms, then it should only have 2 bedrooms, period, based on the permit and the septic. So I don't see how that overlaps with the short-term rentals. The units simply have 2 bedrooms, based on the permit.
Okay, thank you for that comment. Bob?
Thanks for that, Scott. That's the black and white issue that seems to be most prevalent for me as well. But I want to take a step back and talk about how this meeting operates so that we can continue on in a civil manner. The chair recognizes 1 person and 1 person only at a time to speak. And if I'm not recognized, I don't speak. I'm not allowed to speak. She recognizes me when I want to speak, and I make that known to her, and I get a turn. And that has to be the way that town governments operate their meetings. And so I really think it's important to recognize that that's a way that we can keep this thing moving along expeditiously and come to a point where everybody has an opportunity to state their case.
Mr. Harvey?
Will I be granted opportunity to make public comment at the end of the meeting? I promise not to ask questions. I know that's not what it's for. But will I be cut off, or can I have my public comment?
You can make your public comment at the end as long as it's a respectful comment, okay?
It'll be factual.
Thank you. As Bob said, we are dealing with something that is very black and white according to our ordinance. The way our ordinance is written is that you have 2 people for each bedroom listed on the town-issued building permit plus 2 additional people, which is how your short-term rental should be listed, as a 2-bedroom with 6 people. Go ahead.
It's not what it says. It says the maximum number of people that the dwelling unit can be advertised for in any published listing or other marketing shall be. And now the math begins. So the advertisement is held to the number of people. How do we get there? You can have 2 people per bedroom plus 2. I have that. Nothing in this says you cannot advertise more bedrooms than the bedroom listed on the town permit. It doesn't say that. It says the maximum number of people in the dwelling shall not exceed, and I get to that math. When I am listing that 3rd bedroom, it is simply a differentiation between, that was a comment, by the way. Simply a differentiation between a pull-out couch, because I've heard the furniture police in here before, and a separate floor with egress and its own bathroom. It is much more advertising bedroom for the good people of Boston than it is a pull-out couch in the living room. It is a wholly separate space. It just doesn't have a door and a wall. Doesn't need it. It's up there. It doesn't limit the number of bedrooms. It says shall be for 2 people in each bedroom on the building permit plus 2 people. I get there. They can sleep up there. They can go into the basement. Nothing about the 3rd bedroom makes them sleep anywhere. What I can't have, according to the ordinance, is a 7th person. I am at 6. And that's how we get there. Principal, 2nd bedroom, loft, as described on the advertisement. I mean, just for the record, did you receive that?
Yes.
Are you aware that right below that is a description? Because to your point about advertising, if you don't actually read if there's a washer and a dryer, is there parking? I mean, it's a bit on you, but the space is actually bedroom if we're getting down to what someone's just thinking, but what we're protecting a renter from isn't it. This
Okay,
is septic and
excuse
noise.
me. Can we please not have dialogue in the middle? Thank you. I appreciate the math part of it, and we get to the same thing. We get to the 6 people, and that's not the issue. It's the number of bedrooms being represented.
Can you read to me where it
Did you-
limits number of
Point
bedrooms
of order?
advertised?
Did you recognize him? Because I had my hand up
No,
also.
go ahead,
Okay.
Bob.
No, I
See, I'm
just think
sorry. Thank
we
you.
need to reinforce that you don't
Okay,
speak
go ahead.
unless you are recognized by the chair. The simple math is that the maximum number of people that the dwelling unit can be advertised for in any published listing or other form of marketing shall be 2 people for each bedroom listed on the building permit, plus 2 additional people. And your ad is plain and clear. You're advertising for 3 bedrooms.
Do you have anything to add on
I
that?
don't know what more we can say. He's got a septic system for 2 bedrooms.
Then
And
that-
that fictitious 6 people who go in there, I think the first thing they're gonna do is say, okay, let's figure out which bedrooms we're gonna be in. And they're gonna look and they're gonna say, there's only 2. There's not a 3rd one, because if there's a 3rd one, it's illegal.
Bob?
As far as I can tell, the recourse that Mr. Harvey has is to address this issue in front of the Zoning Board of Adjustment or a court of law. But we are bound to the ordinance as it has been written and approved by the people of this town. And this was approved at an annual meeting conducted by the full legislative body of residents that were registered voters that were there at the time. And that's our duty.
Right?
And just add to what Bob said, there's one more thing he could do, and that is increase the size of your septic system, if you can get an approved system for 3 bedrooms or even more. If you have the property, and you can do that. But that is something you could do.
Can I ask a
Yes,
question
Ben.
related to this? Because I know you had some septic issues last year. What would that accomplish? I'd still be renting to 6 people. What are we talking
No,
about?
and you know what, don't even go there really. I mean, I appreciate that adding to it, but if you're advertising for 6 people and that's your intent, all that we are asking you to do is comply with our ordinance and apply it as 2 bedrooms sleeping 6 people. Your photographs that are on your advertisement can show whatever you are going to show, but the advertisement and the way that you are marketing your short-term rental, according to our ordinance, should be a maximum of 2 bedrooms per your town-issued building permit plus 2 people, which gets to your 6 people, just like you said. Did you have a comment?
No,
I
that was a
thought you
comment.
raised your hand.
No, I was just pointing back here at the comments.
So I think it's pretty clear where we all stand. Do you have anything else?
No.
Could I just ask one thing?
Yes.
Is it possible for him to make his statement before the end of the meeting? Just to move it along, because we have other things. I'm just saying that. I don't think, how long is it gonna be?
Hold on, let me just see. Bill, did you have a comment?
If I may.
This is Bill Terry from the planning board.
I'm chair of the planning board. Scott and I were the folks who actually put this ordinance together. Our intention in doing this, and you are right in many respects. Let me just say up front, you're right. The number you have, 6, sleep 6, is appropriate. We can agree on that. And the concern really is about representation. If your tax card, for example, if you were going to try to list your home, you could not list it, even though it has maybe a wonderful sleeping loft, you could only list it as 2 bedrooms. There's a law that requires that you list it as only 2 bedrooms if you were selling it. We don't have that in our regulation. And I agree with you on that, okay? And what we do is, we do math, and we do the math based on what's on the tax card. Or in the case where you have an actual septic system listed, the septic system. So, you know, we agree on the math. We all agree on the math. What I have difficulty understanding for myself, and I could, you know, we wrestled through all this stuff, is when you advertise something, why you wouldn't advertise it as 2 bedrooms and a wonderful sleeping loft that can accommodate 2 people, a wonderful queen size bed, or whatever. And do that as part of your advertisement. I'm having issues understanding what the place where you're at is and fitting that within what the expectation was for what we put together to make sure that advertising didn't overstate what a property offered and that you would not ask to overpopulate, and you're not. So you're right to a large degree. Obviously, the select board is the responsible party for administering this. They have stated that they wish you to have 2 bedrooms. And that's their position to do so.
Frank, did you have anything else?
Nope.
I'd like to make a motion that we file a letter of violation unless you choose to change your ordinance or your advertisement to have 2 bedrooms, sleep 6. Yes.
I'll make a motion that we file a letter of violation with the owner for being out of compliance in the number of bedrooms that the owners are advertising, contingent on no change in the advertisement to bring the advertisement into compliance within 24 hours. That's my motion.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye?
Aye. Thank you. All right, we're going to move along and we'll do public comments at the end of the meeting. Thank you, Jason. The next is 4B, which is fireworks violation, Jackson Fire Response, and Chief Pearlie, Mike Mosier, and Jay Henry are here. So this was for fireworks violation on July 6th, 2024, issued to Troy Zerbiskis, who owns a home on 30 Red Barn Road. So the call came in as a house explosion and fire that resulted in a first alarm response that called in all available personnel and apparatus from Jackson, Bartlett, and North Conway. The end result was it was the homeowner setting off fireworks and having a large fire ring that was active. And this is a classic example of why fireworks are prohibited. So the fire department got there with your staff, and they, who was there from the police department?
We did not get called that night. We had secured for the evening. We went up the next day in follow-up.
Okay.
And we cited the owner for the illegal use of the fireworks. And then in the course of investigating and researching the event, we happened upon the statute 153-A:23, which is reimbursement for public agency response services, which was passed in 1999. And it is, I would say it's rarely used, and it's most commonly associated with reimbursement claims by fishing game for large-scale wilderness rescues. Mm-hmm. However, it does apply to a variety of emergency responses. In this particular case, the emergency response, as you described, it was, the illegal use of fireworks interpreted as an explosion, and then subsequently an unlicensed firing that was interpreted as a house on fire by,
Mm-hmm.
neighbors with good intentions. These are the things they saw on their ring cameras. a first alarm was struck, which resulted in the Jackson Fire Department, the Bartlett Fire Department, and North Conway Fire Department responding, only to find that it was the illegal use of fireworks and an unlicensed firing. The cost associated with the police department was insignificant only because we didn't get called out extra, so it wasn't overtime. And in the normal course of our duties, we investigated and issued the citation to the owner, who has since paid. What we wanted to look at and bring to the select board's attention, because I was unsure if the select board knew that this law was available, and that is 153-823, and that is your ability to recoup costs associated with an emergency response. This clearly qualifies as an emergency response. Had the homeowner not been playing with illegal fireworks in violation of the ordinance, had he not compounded it by having a firing that didn't have a permit associated with it, so the sheriff's department could look it up, there would have been no response that night. So I asked the area fire chiefs to provide an itinerary of the cost. Jay Henry was kind enough to provide it. His total cost for his response was $1,655. And we did not have any additional cost. I just wanted the town to know that they had the ability to recoup those costs. As the chief of police, I would encourage you to pursue that, because I think it sends a very clear message that, when we have ordinances for public safety, they're not to harass or throw a wet blanket on fun or to pick on people. They're to prevent the exact situation that happened in this case. That was chaos ensuing, the risk to all the responding officers, the risk to the fire departments, the usage of all those resources. Those resources are not infinite. So when they're tied up with something like this, they can't be at the ready or responding to some other emergency, legitimate emergency. And the cost is not insignificant. I think $1,655 is a lot of money to just chalk up to, oh, sorry. Now, we did write a $100 ticket and it has since been paid, and that's appropriate, and that person is square as far as that violation goes. But there are additional costs that can be ascribed to that conduct. And like I said, as the chief of police, as a department head involved in public safety, I wanted to make sure that the select board was aware and that you had that. You understood the breadth of the response, the cost of response, and the statutes that are applicable. The handout that Sergeant Mike provided shows you the statute that the authority falls under. It's followed by the Jackson Fire Department material showing the invoice, the call out, the number of personnel that were called out, and the policy that apparently Jackson Fire has had a policy since 2016, which is good. That they have that policy,
Yes.
And the nature of the call. So it was housekeeping, but it was a significant enough event. The other fireworks call we had, it was handled with a citation. That person swears been paid.
Right.
Didn't result in large scale cost. This one did, and I think there should be some accountability for that. The rest is up to the select board, but I want to make sure you're aware of that option.
So I appreciate that, and I appreciate the documentation from both you and your department and from Chief Henry. I'm hesitant. I love money, you know that. I love anything we can add to the top line and reduce taxpayer costs. But at this point, I feel like this is my opinion, so I'll wait to hear from you too. But Jay did give them a verbal warning about their fire permit, and they need to re-up their fire permit. So they definitely need to do that. You had already fined them, and they paid as far as the fireworks ordinance goes. So I would really love to think that as a hopefully respectful homeowner in Jackson, that they would have learned from this and will improve their methods of celebrating, I guess I'd say. Thoughts on this from either of you two?
I'd like to go with our chief in his recommendation. I think that, $1,600 is no small amount of money. When our fire department goes out, they don't know what they're going to find. I mean, it could have been a lot worse. And with that recommendation, what they did out there, I think that finding them that amount, the amount that it cost us to service this call, is appropriate. So that's my opinion.
Bob?
Well, first of all, I want to thank the chief for calling that reimbursement statement of intent to our attention, because I had not, I've seen it before, I'd never automatically went there as a default for something that this incident could have covered. So thank you for that.
And that was part of our goal, was educational. This is a resource we have.
Sure.
I'll wait, just
And-
like everybody else, you'll wait to be called on.
And I-
Okay,
and-
thank you.
And at the same time, I want to make sure that we don't take steps that would discourage calls into dispatch, even when they are connected with a Ring camera that somebody, for all we know, was monitoring hundreds of miles away. And there were a lot of issues with this. And I, as the liaison to the fire department, I couldn't be more proud of the fact that at 9:30 on July 4th, we ended up with 12 people answering the call. And I would think, Chief, that if you had your quantifiable number that included Bartlett and included North Conway, we'd be well north of $5,000. And if those numbers are in the works and eventually coming, it would be good. In my mind, I would be very settled to know that the homeowner got that final number, just so they could see what that ended up costing. But at the same time, I don't want to discourage people from reporting things to the best of their ability. And dispatch did what they had to do with the information they had, and so did all of our essential services that were first responders that night. And so there's a lot to it for sure. I don't really see the it would be a precedent-setting fine for sure. And I don't think I'm there at this point, but it would be nice to see that, you know, the homeowners were sobered up to the fact that what happened, you know, really put a lot of people out. And at the same time, if we ever question something with that kind of information that went into dispatch and want to confirm it before we respond and activate, you know, our staff, I mean, those are precious minutes. If there was a structure fire and we hesitated in any way, shape, or form, that could have been a lost structure. So I'm proud we responded as quickly as we did and as fully as people were mustered. I'm not at a place where I feel like an appropriate response by the town is $1,500 fine or plus, including. But I would love to hear from the owners. I don't know. Once that final tally comes in, to really make sure you understand, and oftentimes we don't understand what the consequences are of our actions. And if they're year-round homeowners, odds are they knew we had a fireworks ordinance that prohibited the lighting of fireworks any day of the year. So,
What I'd like to recommend then, since we are sort of, you know, we've had a lot of good input on this, is I'd like to recommend that we do address a letter to the homeowners stating what the costs were, and maybe if we get from the other towns their costs, we can allocate those in as well. But and you mentioned precedents. We have given homeowners warnings before and asked them to, you know, made them aware of different ordinances, different violations, or what they've come close to maybe. So I would like to give them a formal warning with the cost and the risks that were associated with this, and go on from there. And then Jay, you'll obviously follow up with their fire permit if they decide they're going to have another, or did they?
Technically, he thought he had a permit,
Yeah.
and he did have a physical permit. What he missed was as a seasonal permit. He did not, when I asked him about it, he said, yeah, I got a permit. And when he brought it to me, he didn't realized it didn't have he didn't think it had an end date on it.
Yeah,
Because Pat had issued a permit a year or two before. But if you read, it, you know, it was 9:30 at night, so we were all kind of like, okay,
Reacting.
you know. And it does say seasonal permit on it, but, so he thought he was very accommodating. And he did think he had a fire pit permit. He told me he wasn't aware of the ordinance, and, you know, I warned him of that, you know, both of them. I agree with everything that Chief Burley said, he's absolutely right. Couple items, we are definitely finding a lot of nuisance calls from ring cameras and cell phones, and it's definitely, the nuisance calls have gotten worse. The dispatcher automatically started a, mutual aid call, first alarm, because of whatever information she was given by multiple callers. They, had split seconds to make a decision, and she made a decision to automatic aid. I'm good with whatever you guys want to do. Our normal policy, if you want to call it a policy, for whether it's fire pit stuff, whether it's code violations for businesses, our normal is, a verbal warning and a written warning before we get into building. The only exceptions to that are forest fire stuff.
right.
Because the forest ranger is the responsible party for that. And, big forest fires, of course, we invoice. And the only other exception to that is hazmat. That gets, if you get a big hazmat call, you get into specialty companies and stuff. So, we've never, I shouldn't say never, it's been a long time since we've had a billable hazmat incident. We've only billed a couple of forestry calls, So that's where it's at,
I wasn't aware that there was more than $1,500, so just so I'm clear, I don't know if I could direct this to Bob. Are you saying that when we find out what the additional costs are, there's still a possibility that we may be finding them, or you don't want to make that precedent?
No, I just was making a point that the actual cost that night to respond was far beyond the $1,655 that our town used.
That was
So
the
when we get
Jackson
all-
portion, sorry, that was the Jackson portion of the fire department.
Okay.
The
So
whole engine.
when we find out what the ultimate cost is, we'll revisit this?
Well, I don't know if we're going to find out what the cost is. We don't know if the other chief is gonna respond.
My guess is that
Jack.
if we haven't gotten it by now, we probably won't. And
Right.
I'm pretty sure mutual aid agreements and stuff, they probably won't bill unless it was a really specialized
Okay.
thing. Because the only problem that I have with invoicing them for this is it creates a precedence. And if all of a sudden we get if we bill Joe Smith for a fireworks violation and then it happens in Bartlett, then it becomes, okay, well, we billed him, we gotta bill, it sets a precedence, and it's kind of sad to say, but nuisance calls like that do happen fairly often.
Okay. Chief Pearlie?
Yeah, I just want to point one feature out of the statute, and if you look at 153A25, it appears to, pretty clearly state that you can ask for reimbursement for costs you incurred. So I think the only way that you would ever be in a position to ask for costs another agency incurred is if, as Chief Henry said, there was some kind of reciprocal billing. We paid them and they wouldn't after. The statute says the public agency which incurred the expense may collect the debt in the same manner as the case. So I just want to make it clear that although I asked them for their costs really to see the magnitude of the event, it was pretty clear when I talked to Chief Chad and Chief Courier that we wouldn't be able to ask for reimbursement, but we were going to, discuss that statutory authority. So I just want to point that out.
Okay. Anything else, guys?
Well, I'm ready to make a motion to have the town office put together the letter as you described it, and to also include a reminder that a second offense fireworks is a $250 fine. But everything else, I think you pretty much covered in your letter description, so I'll make that motion.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And Julie, I will work with you to draft that letter. Thank you. Thanks, Chiefs and Sergeant, for all of your hard work, and like Bob said,
Sure.
for the great response.
Our pleasure.
All right. Here's my agenda. Give me some paper. Yeah, come on, your agenda.
Oh, sure.
Oh, never mind. I another.
Over here. I got two there.
I'm good.
Okay.
It's in some folder somewhere. Okay, police cruiser. We
Yes.
have an old police cruiser that is in high demand.
Mature.
It's not like fine wine, no. So it's the 2016 Ram police truck, and it is back in civilian condition here. So it needs some repairs. We got some good quotes from Carfax, Market Price, Kelly Blue Book, etc. And Mike and Chief, you did some sort of deep digging into what you think it would be worth on the street. And
Yeah.
we had several folks that were interested in buying it right away, but in order to do it properly, we decided we needed to put it out to bid. So we'll advertise it for bid in, I guess, the Conway Daily Sun, and we probably need to come up with a minimum bid, which was proposed on the communication that you sent us. Did you both see that?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and then anyone is eligible to bid on this. So there were a few staff members, I believe, or employees or friends of employees that were interested in it, and they are definitely, they can bid on it if they want to. And then when the bids come in, we'll meet at the select board and accept one of the bids. Does that sound fair, Chief?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, we'd like to get that for sale sign out there and get it off to some
Perfect.
happy customer.
And your minimum bid of $8,250 is what you came up with for the
Based on our research,
vehicle is in the
We
condition.
thought there should be a basement to look at. I mean, whether it's worth that to anybody. The market suggests it is. So we'll see where it goes from there.
All right, and as far as putting the ad in the Conway Sun, would you coordinate with Julie Betsy
sure.
on advertising that?
Yep.
And anything else on that, guys?
I just had a general question about the bidding process, because it's been a while. I think it was prior to 2019, last time I was involved in it. How long are those bidding processes typically open for?
Well, I've never auctioned one off. You know, the last one we gifted to the building inspector.
Yeah.
So, you know, I would think, I don't know.
Julie,
it
did
a
you have
week or
any
two?
information on
The
that?
last time we did one, I think we put it in the paper for a week,
Okay.
Yeah,
and then we just it has to be due by your next meeting,
okay,
and then you'll open the bids in the meeting.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
perfect. And I'm gonna let you guys decide, because I won't be at the next meeting, if it is that one, on how you're gonna decide if there are multiple bids for the same amount.
If you we'll figure it out.
Draw a straw.
Bring a
So,
coin.
yeah. All right, I don't think we need to make a motion on this. Well, let's make a motion to be formal. We are going to advertise the 2016 Ram police truck for a minimum bid of $8,250 to be advertised in the Conway Daily Sun. Bids will be accepted for a specific period of time to be listed in that ad, and it will be determined who the lucky winner is at the next select board meeting on August 13th.
I'll
Give me a second there. I'll
make
second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Good luck.
Okay.
All right, driveway culverts.
I'm gonna
Frank,
just- I'm
did
just
you
gonna-
have something on
Yeah, I
this?
just wanted to broaden it a little bit too. A lot of you folks have probably seen Gary and his crew out there making deeper ditches, doobie ditches as we used to call them, changing culverts here and there. And I'm also going to use a coined word, I just thought of it. Old Peter Kelly
Yeah.
used to say, it was a torrendous vacation. Torrendous, which is horrendous and tremendous at the same time, right? Well, the torrendous weather that we've been getting, I mean, obviously this is a good, I think we've got a mandate at town meeting to do this sort of work, but just to bring this all the way around to a person's driveway and the culverts in the driveway, it belongs to the landowner. We've had a few people come to us and we do try and help out. Jay was on a call on that and helped out with the highway department trying to clean out a culvert. You couldn't do it. I mean, it had to be replaced. And we told the landowner, we've been doing this, has been a policy forever, that it's your responsibility. It's the landowner's responsibility to change a culvert. So I just wanted a reminder, and people can hear that. Okay.
Awesome. Any comments on that?
No,
All
pretty
right.
comprehensive report.
All right. Fire station update.
Well, the update that I presented at the last meeting is still the same update. We are looking at this, we were looking at the week of July 1st to be when we would receive the 50% design development plans and that they would be ready for release that week. Summer vacations have thrown that into a bit of a time delay. It doesn't mean that the whole project is behind in any way, shape, or form, but we're hopeful that we hear that Ritchie Construction has collected all of the information it needs to put together that 50% of the design development plans, hopefully by the end of this week.
Great. All right. Okay. No short-term rental applications at this time. There are a slew of building permits here, and Kevin is not at the meeting today, but I assume that he would have mentioned anything to us had there been any conversation about any of these. So I guess they're pretty well set. And then there's one driveway permit on Dundee Road for the Upper Saco Valley Land Trust, which we had talked about at a previous meeting. Anything else for you?
No,
Anything
these
else?
look really straightforward, and he's
Public?
approved them.
Public comment? Ed?
Thank you. I wanted to bring public attention to something that I was not able to attend last year. The select board brought a complaint against my short-term rental based on internet-only my advertisement only ad that I did not have a window in my loft. Kevin Bennett brought this to the select board. It immediately got onto the agenda and moved forward. I had to spend the first day trying to find out what this violation was. But first I had to clear up that the agenda said I already had a violation and this was my second. Turns out that was someone else's. My name and address was sent to Massachusetts. The town records on a 2015 construction, including my SDR application, all have either blueprints or photos of this window. I can only assume that the building inspector, town administrator, and select board all failed to research this, took somebody's word off my ad, and then decided that I was in violation. Now, as opposed to the technicality we were having a fun debate about tonight, this is life safety. It is a serious accusation. This conversation went on for 11 minutes. 11 minutes. None of the decorum that was forced tonight was there. Building inspector Kevin Bennett and planning chair Bill Terry shared jokes about why our ad had coincidentally come down at that time. I was in the hospital with my wife while she had a tumor removed. Kevin just happened to coincidentally falsely accuse us of not having a window in a building that he certified. The comments were continuous, and when this was rescinded 2 months later, it was less than a minute. I have a window. It's about as far as I got. I do remember the chair at the time saying, "Did you hear that, Kevin?" I got a marginal bit of recognition that there must have been a conversation about how sideways this went. But it wasn't publicly shared, And to date, I can't say I've seen anything in the administration of STRs that shows me any more research or better review of supervision of employees, correcting mistakes, maybe waiting till the next meeting to make sure that you are right. It's one thing to be off or even technically correct on a bedroom complaint. We were accused, by way of station wagons and all kinds of crazy 70s stuff going on. We, modern day parents in a hospital, were accused of sleeping our children in a loft with no egress. I didn't hear anybody giving speeches about who could speak and who the chair could recognize. It was a fun free-for-all with zero follow-up when it was finally removed. Have a good night.
Thank you. Any other public comment? All right, our next meeting is Tuesday, August 13th at 3:30 here. And I will not be here, but the two gentlemen on my left and right will be able to run that meeting. And then on Tuesday, August 27th is the next meeting following that. And after that select board meeting, there will be a Bartlett Jackson ambulance work session starting at 4:30. So that will be public, yes.
I do have one quick concern there. I don't see any way Frank and I are going to be able to run that meeting without your leadership, but we're going to try.
I know, it's going to be a struggle.
Well, we've had some
I
practice.
I'll try to think of you all when I'm in
Oh,
the,
bet.
in
And you're on the
the Serengeti.
Oh,
Yes.
boy.
All right. I see no reason for a non-public meeting tonight, so I will make a motion to adjourn
Second.
at 4:20.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, everyone. If you didn't sign in and you feel like you could do that, that would be wonderful, just so we have it for the record. Thanks.
I want you to know that I called Julie when she went to Africa, Jungle Julie,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And because Betsy wants to go, I probably wanted Betsy.
Yeah.
And you, Bongo Barbara.